Beautiful. Good morning, everyone. And action. Welcome to Morning Minutes with myself, Michael Bergio, and the infamous Mr. Mark Novak. This morning, we're going to be talking about Sydney CBD, and I think this applies to most CBDs in the country and around the world. Will they be half empty after COVID-19? Mark, what do we mean by that? Are we talking about people afraid to get out and go out of their homes, or are you talking about?
It's a question on everyone's lips for sure, and we're definitely not putting a cloud over our lovely city of Sydney. But I think a lot of people now think, how essential is going into the office CBD of Sydney? How essential is it to jump on that bus? How essential is it to jump on that train? How essential is it to drive into the city, to be there for 40 hours a week? I think that I just know the world's changed, but I don't know post-COVID-19 how that's going to affect city rates, city occupancy, city during the day, business hours, Monday to Friday.
Yeah, I think the way we do business is still probably, with the technology we have, still 5, 10, 15 years behind the progression where we could be. For example, you touched on it last night with Tom Panos on Monday night. Think about how business was done, even with executives for meetings. Like, how long has Zoom been around and face-to-face? But executives, if they go to Melbourne, still leave their office, travel 40 minutes to the airport, wait in lines, wait a couple of hours, then a flight, then have a meeting, probably fly business class. Then they stay at a fancy hotel. They have their 20-minute meeting face-to-face, and then they go back to another fancy hotel, and then they fly back. Thousands of dollars spent on the business expense account for a meeting, which they'll probably sit back and go, we could have done that like how we're doing it now. I think there's a lot of things done that way where it was just because it's always been done that way. You go down there and it hasn't really adopted the power or the techniques we have and the uses we have for technology. I think this could be a pretty big wake-up call to going, well, why don't we do it this way moving forward?
If I had an essential service and I was in the CBD, you really just blew up that business in the CBD, even if you are an essential service, because you've got so many people congregating in the one building. If you get one person infected in a business of 6,000 and you're all operating from the same premises, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. And I now think what's going to happen is essential services that had one central office in the CBD. If I had a bet, I would be saying put 1,000 employees in Parramatta, put 1,000 employees in Chatswood, put 1,000 employees in the Northern Beaches. Just giving us a plug. Put 1,000 employees out in different satellites of Sydney. If one office ever went down in any capacity, whether it's weather, whether it's disease, whether it's cyber, they've got another 5 tentacles still working in their business. COVID-19 has changed this world for CBD, I reckon.
Yeah, lots of viewers on morning. Tina, Stacey, welcome, or Stacey, Tina. Brendan, thanks for jumping on. Andrew Cole, Asnold, thank you very much. Tony Shamimo, how are you, sir?
I'd love to know your feedback, guys. Whoever's watching, give us your prediction, because it'll be interesting to look at this a year or two later. Give us your prediction of what you think the CBD is going to be looking like in the next 12 months after COVID-19. The landscape of the CBD. Now, I certainly don't want to, like I said, put a cloud on it or poison it, but or be negative. Like, it may be better, it may be thicker, faster, stronger, better, more thriving than ever. I'd be interested in all of the viewers' comments. But
yes.
definitely, Michael, when you run that magnifying glass that I always talk about, that essential magnifying glass over CBD offices, it's very compelling.
Yeah, and I think potentially maybe what stopped the people using video conference more is they came. I think there was probably a stigma that it's not as personal. You don't care as much. I think that was probably a stigma attached with doing a video conference like this.
Lazy.
Yeah,
That's
rather
right.
than
Yes.
flying down. So, Anmol, COVID is forcing out efficiencies in a lot of businesses. Necessity is the mother of invention. Up until
Yeah,
now,
well
people
said.
didn't have the need to do things differently. That's exactly right. It was that we had these technologies that would create huge efficiencies in business, but it just wasn't done that way. You didn't do it face to face. May have been, I don't think face to face was overrated, but I think it was used as a big excuse not to evolve and be more efficient. That way, I think
That's a really big call. I think that's almost at the heart of the solution and the problem as well. But I think that's a really good call. If that was one of the viewers just suggested, because I was the first to get off your ass and get in there and get it done. Whereas there is a way to get off your ass and get it done even faster in the digital world now. You know what I mean? Like I'll give you an idea. I was talking with Lisa this morning, and she said, she did an appraisal and she didn't present our services face to face, but she's just going through so much volume of appraisals at the moment. She said, clients love it and clients are accepting of it, and she's getting quality of information to the client faster. Yeah. So, and the people are making a decision easier and faster. So I was like, shit, that's really just tipped on the head what I've learned the last 25 years in real estate, because it was always get opposite, get opposite, get opposite. Yeah. Now, again, I've got to be careful in not suggesting that FaceTime to FaceTime or Zoom to Zoom is better than face to face. Okay, I accept it's not, but if it means that you can get the information twice as fast to the client, maybe it is.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be that balance. I believe my opinion is we're probably too heavy away from, not like, there's going to be a spectrum where it's like using it not enough, using it too much to replace necessity, like where you should be face to face, you're using it. I think we were too heavy on the not using it. And then due to this, it made us use it for everything. And I think there's going to be a happy balance between it. But going off what you said, where offices may look to split, instead of having 6,000 people in one location, multiple locations, and being a lot more, I think there's going to be a balance of that as well, where it's normally you think, oh, everyone under one roof, I can watch it, compared to having separate locations, because obviously there's that argument, separate locations, multiple leases, multiple overheads, like it does create those different sort of issues or topics to discuss, but then it secures you may have cheaper, it blends. I think it's a good topic that needs to be addressed, and I think businesses will look to structure that way as well. But like, even like where Sydney CBD, Mark, if it does change, it just means businesses have to pivot and it'll open up more opportunities. We're not saying it's going to plummet and drop by half in value and things like that. It may just change. It may just change as well. And
maybe, the Sydney CBD may be a place for people to live more than work, or at the moment it's a place to work more than live. Either way, it's a thriving verb, whatever you do with it.
Yeah, and I think it's just going to be very exciting once everyone uses the analogy or the metaphor, the bridge. Once we're over that bridge, to see how we will come out of it. You've said many times we'll be a better race in 2021, and I think we'll be a more efficient race as well. I think this has given us the push to use technology a lot more in businesses that had been resistant to use technology. Even if we look at the microscope of real estate, like we've been fortunate that that you implemented like virtual tours and inspections 2 years ago, but there was still, I reckon, half, if not 80% of officers and agents not using the technology that a lot of being forced to use now, which were available 2-3 years ago, but people just, they didn't want to adapt. Rosie Sullivan, thanks for joining, jumping on.
Hey, Rosie.
And I think we're going to be a lot more efficient, just like you used the analogy of Lisa and many agents in the office doing appraisals, like the walkthrough digitally and getting on Zoom straight away, sitting in the media station we have here, getting face-to-face. What would normally take a day or two, we're doing in minutes, hours.
That's incredible. And look, I struggle with, when it comes to that, I struggle with laziness versus efficiency. And I guess you could say it's in the eye of the beholder, and it's one of the same things, efficiency and laziness. So efficiency is making it easier for a lazy person to do something, but it really is in the eye of the beholder. So it's one of the same things. So I've always put stuff off saying, nah, that's just the lazy way of doing it. Whereas I'm actually saying, no, don't be efficient. So it's a really fine line. And I guess, there's that saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I think efficiency and laziness is in the eye of the beholder. You do it, you do your Zoom conference or you do your work from home, but are you being lazy or are you efficiency? Well, it's just up to you. It's not actually the process, it's you.
Yes. And also by that efficiency will then enable you to potentially do further follow-up to impress them. You do your presentation, and the hour you save in going there, you've organized a few emails to follow up. You've organized flowers as a thank you. You've organized like a lot of different processes that you normally wouldn't do because you've just saved this time. So you may arm wrestle with yourself going, is that laziness or efficiency? But then you just do all these plus ones that you may not have done due to time, which then just are those plus ones. But I think you said it perfectly. That balance, laziness, be efficiency, and COVID-19 has forced us to be more efficient.
And again, dwelling on the topic and what we're talking about today, if anyone's just tuned in, is what's the city CBD going to look like in COVID-19? And I think very, very, very interesting topic because a lot of people have realised that their biggest exposure is their city lease in their office, and they've realised that their employees are happy to work from home. And happy to generate the same output they did at the office at home.
I couldn't agree more. I'm hearing from a lot of people where they're almost saying, I'm doing more work from home because there's no time, you're in that routine. You wake up, you shower, you get on the bus, and then you start when you get in the office. And that's an hour or two travel and time frame.
It's at least 20% of the day to most Australians.
Yeah, 20%. Now, a lot of people are working that 20%. If anything, I'm hearing a lot of people, they're going, there's no start, there's no end. I'm just working. I wake up and I work and I continue working and then I fall asleep. There's no that's the bus home. There's no trick. So I think done correctly, it could be more efficient. 20% in travel, what for? So you can watch your staff or use your computer. I think this will change the game for a lot of businesses.
Yeah, look, I think in support of CBD and doing that, there is, we do need a community. We do need a sense of belonging, and we do need each other. So the whole CBD office thing, I think, has a strong heartbeat. I am on the same tone of what we're talking about today, that I don't think that heartbeat is going to be as strong because of that. But I genuinely think that, people still want to have that sense of belonging and community and business, and they still want to go in and eyeball each other. Even if it's a big
co-working space, everyone works, you're in different areas, but it's just like a big co-working space.
Well, even if you're doing half of the time, it just means that you only need half of the building. So I think some people have realized lately that they can run A teams and B teams, and they can actually share that same environment. So the A team can be there Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the B team can be there, Tuesday, Thursday, and they can actually have half of the office still maintain that. They can maintain that culture. They can maintain that sense of belonging. They know who Jimmy is. They know who Michael is. They know who Mary is, because they see them twice a week, not 5 times a week. Do you know what I mean? So
concept, the AB, because I know a lot of businesses have done this for the virus in case someone gets affected. So just to go through A and B, where that is come in, a lot of businesses, say you've got 100 staff. Now, if 100 staff are working every day under one roof and one person gets affected, that will contaminate your whole workforce, 100 people. So what a lot of companies have done is they've created an A and B or A, B and C, which will split that into, say, 50 staff and 50 staff, 50 in the office at one time, 50 working remotely. That means if one gets infected in team A, they've obviously all got to work from home, but you've still got B team that can work from the office. And I think that shift is going to really resonate after going, well, if we run it that way, then that opens us up to maybe have a couple offices, and exactly what you said, have half the amount of office space, which is half the amount of overhead.
Rent. Yeah. And this COVID-19 thing is a sinister virus, but it's not the most sinister that we've seen in the history of the world. And you could imagine if we had something much more sinister than COVID-19, having this set up correctly for an essential service. What is an essential service? Well, guess what? Telstra is an essential service, because if Telstra was under threat, we would have a lot of communications issues for medical, and for education and for transport. All of our street lights are all wired into are all networked. So traffic lights. So I think that there is definitely that push that we've probably got our bum hanging out a little bit with everyone going into the city like they used to, and in some nation, my takeaways from today, to your takeaways, my takeaways are that 100% in 2021, the Sydney CBD will not be as the offices will not be they were in 2019, and there will be a portion of our workforce that will be continuing to operate how they are now, and I reckon that's a fact.
You know what a big point is as well, Mark? For the businesses out there who are not an essential service, it's a bit of a wake-up call. You're not an essential service, and if you can't operate, you need to have a second and third income stream. Has it not been more relevant? It's always been told, it's always been said you need multiple income streams, but a lot of people still stick with just doing the one income stream. If it now, so more than ever, it's just reiterated, you're going to need multiple income streams to survive as a business.
Yeah, look, I think that, and the essentials essentials is a brand new word today than pre-COVID-19, right? I use it millions of times a day now, but I post COVID-19, I think the non-essential services are still going to rock and roll, but I think that we will skewer towards well, you know what Lisa said to me, we'll chat, because we was chatting. We talk a lot, my wife and I. It's a problem. It's the problem. We do talk a lot. It's just way too much communication. But a great thing that she was saying that I loved was the old-fashioned businesses are doing well. And that really resonated with me. And I was like, what do you mean? She said, well, anyone who's doing really, really well is like a 1980 business.
Mm.
Like, what do you mean? She said, well, 1980, like the same insurance company, NRMA, the same, the corner store, milk and bread, the stores, all those old-fashioned businesses, they're the ones that have survived and thrived.
Yeah.
service stations, you know, all that old, those
The
old
Woolies,
businesses.
yeah.
It's the Woolies, you know, the groceries, the hairdressers. Well, they were always around. The barbers, well, they were always around, and they're still open. It's an archaic, barbaric, old-fashioned concept, but it's bloody true.
Yeah.
So I think whatever the CBD looked like maybe in 1990, maybe that's what it's going to look like again. Not look.
Use of technology has also helped connect family around the world. Our kids get together with our cousins who are in different parts of the world on an app called House Party, okay? And play trivia draw games. Interesting. We'll have to have a look at that. These
my kids are on House Party. They bloody love it.
What is it? Just like a virtual group chat sort of thing, or?
Oh, you're too old, mate.
I'm too old. Okay.
Yeah, you can't. You're too old for this. Yeah. You can support it, but you can't be part of it. I'm sorry, you're too old.
Okay. And what are you part of? Is it like a grandpa version? Is that why you're on it? For the elderly.
Yeah. I do Google. I do Google www.
Okay, so takeouts here are post-COVID-19. I think we believe there's going to be a lot of shifts in how business operate. Potentially being a bit more diverse with locations, A and B team, embracing technology. We've all had it. We all say it's good, but have we really embraced it? And I think that stigma of efficiency, being lazy is out the window. I think that's going to be the big push and the big takeout. You're not being lazy, it's being efficient, and being efficient will open up more doors and more avenues down the track.
That's it.
Beautiful. That's a wrap. Thank you for everyone watching and comments. It will be podcasted and we will be live again tomorrow morning.
I think we had like 25,000 podcast listens as well. So it's if you haven't not on our podcast, have a listen. It does very, very well, and I think it's easy for people just to cruise around with it going on in their head while they're doing work.
Beautiful. Look after that. I haven't checked the numbers for a while, but yeah, let's have a look because that's been up and running now for a few months.
Yep, I think it's 6 months now we're sitting at.
Beautiful.
Love you, everyone. Love you. Bye.
Bye.